Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, once again, we had to reschedule our Provoked book launch, but week 5 will be probably next week at some point. We'll figure it out. But I thought I'd just take advantage of the time and just do an impromptu hello to everybody. Hopefully we'll have a couple people on. We'll see if that will come to fruition, but welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm gonna start a little bit today. We're gonna just jump around topic to topic. I'll do Q&A as well. I've got the comments open, so if you do have something you want to say or some question you want to ask, please feel free. We're gonna get right off to it. California fires suck. We're gonna talk about DEI. This is the LA mayor answering questions or not answering questions about what's going on. I'm going to share that one first. We'll start there. And then we'll get going.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
You having a stroke?
No apology for them?
Yeah, she okay.
Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
I've never seen a politician not take advantage of being able to talk. I mean, look at her run.
Looks like she was thinking about it. She wanted to.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor,
You're trying to get out that other door, right?
Anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
She's trying to get out this restricted door.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Oh, she's special. She does get to go out that way.
He gets to go out that way. Look at that. Sir,
What's up,
welcome.
dude?
What's up, brother? You had a great conversation today.
Yes, I did.
That's awesome.
We'll
have to
Byland/Beeland. Not really sure.
Yeah, I think it's Beeland because I think it's more Austrian, but I think Byland works like more Americanized, I think. And I think he's kind of going that way but
yeah, I think he's
I respect
Swedish.
whatever he wants. He's Swedish. Yeah, whatever he wants to be called. You know what I mean? Like
He said
I respect
we'd go with Byland, so I went with that.
Sounds great. I'm so sorry I put you through that. So for our quick listening audience, both of us are going to speak with Per Byland, and we got them all connected, but we weren't sure of how to pronounce his name. So Jason's like, I'm about to talk to him. And I go, it's Beeland, right? He goes, oh no, I think it's Byland. And both of us started going on a huge Google scramble and just trying to look up. I found 5 videos. 4 of them were Byland. 1 was Beeland. Then you come back. I'm like, you're good. It's Byland. And then you come back. You're like, no, but Tom Woods said Beeland. I'm like, oh no, now we're screwed again. Cause now it's like a prominent name that we respect.
Yeah, I was listening to Tom Woods because I know that he knows him personally. So he would, I think, have it right. But
he does.
I don't know.
Wow. Excellent.
I think it is actually Beeland, but he's kind of Americanizing it.
Yeah, I like it, man. So welcome. Yeah. So you saw that clip, my friend. What did you think, man? What's going on?
Man, I have not been following this close enough. I got to get caught up before Thursday because we got to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, we got the other 2 things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Zuck and Sam Harris probably more than anything.
Sam Harris. Yeah, I feel like Sam Harris will be quick.
Yeah, but you know what? Bill Maher is always a treasure trove of stupidity. I mean, he just finds really good ways to sound almost smart and then like flip it and then fall right off the cliff again.
Yeah, he gets enough right where you're like, okay, I'll listen again. let's try again. But then, oh man, then he'll just say something ridiculous.
So we got this fire situation. Okay. I played that one clip. I pulled another clip of Crystal and Sagar. And then what I'd like to do after that is I'll pull up some Schellenberger because this stuff is crazy. I don't know what happened or who dropped the ball. And look, fires happen. That I don't think anyone's disputing like catastrophes happen, but I think management is an issue, right? Like management does matter too. So
Yeah.
let me play this other clip real quick if I may, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it right away.
Okay.
Oh, it's DEI. Look, they've got a woman fire chief. That's really the problem here. And so there is a massive distraction campaign to keep people from actually grappling with the underlying causes here that are leading not just to this particular situation, but also, help fuel the devastating hurricanes that flooded and, were total disaster for Western North Carolina and other regions that have made Florida effectively uninsurable. Like all of these things fit together. But instead, it's DEI, it's wokeism, it's the fire department getting cut, whatever. When the bigger picture here is
right.
Clear.
But here's the problem: is that by denying the fact that there's these articles from the LA Times, like the LAFD is too white, seems like a bit of an issue. It seems like a pure competence problem for me. I don't care what color or what gender.
That lady seemed pretty competent to me.
What's up?
That lady who's running the fire department seems pretty competent.
I'm not talking about her specifically. I'm talking about the fact that at a time in 2021, there literally were articles about DEI in the LA Fire Department. I think that's a problem. I think competency itself is the core for what all functions of life-saving organizations should be. I mean, I'm not going to get into specifically parsing like why are all these lesbians in the fire department, which appears to be like a vogue thing online. Instead, I would say, look, I don't care who you are. Can you do the job? Are we making sure the standards are there? And so that is, in my opinion, the problem is that nothing is ever comes to mitigation. And
what evidence do you have that any of them are not competent?
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying a culture around ensuring that we have more Black or lesbian firefighters does not seem to me to comport with a culture of
you have
competency.
No evidence.
So far, what are your thoughts, my friend?
I mean, he's right, of course. Hiring based on skin color has nothing to do with any competence. Of course. Right. I've only seen Crystal a handful of times, but she's always just stupid, man.
Well, her husband, Kyle Ball, he, that bleach got to the scalp or got deep into
she married to Kyle Kulinski?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That's who she's married to. Yeah, that tells you everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Crystal is a very, very affluent, poor, independent media person, if you know what I mean. She's like worth like tens of millions. From my understanding, not a gazillionaire, but anything over $1 million, I think we're in safe territory here, But I find her, it's like so captured. It's like you can't see past 2 inches of like your conversation. But Sagar gets caught up in her crazy, and he doesn't pull the things out. And what I want to do is after we finish this clip, I'd love for you to share like the last thoughts on this, because then we'll pull up Schellenberger, who can actually articulate what Sagar's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'll continue here.
You have no evidence.
Well, what am I supposed
that
to
has
go
had
to a systematic study?
Yeah,
I mean,
yes, I expect there to be evidence if you make a claim.
Okay, then what evidence do you have that a pure white fire department can't do the best job? I mean, that's what I'm saying. DEI itself is a nonsensical thing that prioritizes equity for the sake of itself.
It's such a distraction, though. Like,
why is it a distraction?
How? Okay.
Yeah.
You think that if you had a man in charge of the fire department, they could have stopped the fires? Like, you have no evidence for that. You just assume that because it's a woman, she's not good at the job, or because she's a lesbian, she's not good at the job.
What I'm saying is that there has been a priority.
Distraction from the core problem.
Yeah, pause it.
Where would having a penis keep the fires from happening?
You can pee on them more easily.
Yeah, I guess we could have watered them. The squatty potty's a little harder, I guess, or
yeah.
So what are your thoughts, man?
Okay, she's asking for evidence. Well, look, what happened? The fires are out of control. There's your evidence. Something's not right. Is it because there's a woman? No, but there is clearly incompetence here.
Right. And I don't know. We'll get into some more stuff. I don't know if you heard the Adam Carolla story about the fire department when he volunteered or whatever, when he tried to join.
No.
Okay, it's a really interesting story, and I'll try to find the clip, but time was short. But let me finish this up, and then we'll close it out, and then we'll play some Schellenberger stuff
here, which is that you have a 1,200-year drought. You have the average temperature in Calvert is 5 degrees hotter. The Santa Ana winds are nothing new. The reason it is so devastating are because of those two factors. And that has nothing to do whether there's a black person or a lesbian or a white lady or a white dude at the head of the fire department. Nothing to do with that.
What I am saying is that it is clear there was a culture in the state of California and in the LA Fire Department specifically to look at quote unquote equity over the last 3 to 4 year period. Do I think on average across all organizations, corporate, fire department, police, military, that culture competes with competency? Absolutely. Yes, I do. I am not personally indicting any of the people who are at the top of this or looking at their appearance and immediately making a judgment. I am saying through both experience, through observation, that DEI itself is something that is generally the enemy of competence. It is on the people who are going to racially discriminate against others to prove that racial discrimination or sexual discrimination is better for competency, which is the core function.
Problem here.
That's not what I'm talking about.
So it's just more of the same, man.
Yeah. So I mean, she's technically correct, right? I mean, yeah, it didn't stop the fires. Okay. Mm-hmm. But like, what argument is she trying to make about the focus being away from fire prevention and towards who we're hiring? But not who we're hiring because of fire prevention, who we're hiring because of arbitrary markers in someone's persona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like they don't want to look at it. Like they don't want to know if there would potentially be a problem of hiring certain groups to do certain jobs. And I don't know if there is, but it's something you should probably look at. I don't think so. I mean, I want to look at people individually. I don't care what group you're in. Can you do the job or not? That's really all I care about.
Yeah. I think we kind of meritocracy based, right? Like the whole point is with the Agra stuff is like, we all have something to contribute. We had to figure out what how much we can contribute. And if we're limited, and if we are limited, we at least can maximize our limitations, right? Like that's kind of how we would want to live our lives. But it's like we were cutting our nose to spite our face. So I'm going to share a little bit of Schellenberger. Now this is like a 7-minute video, but I'm only going to do like the first 2 paragraphs because the first 2 paragraphs with the text is going to tell you everything we need to know about this clip. Because she just was talking, how does DEI even matter? Listen to Schellenberger explain a woman defend her position in the fire department if she had to carry a man out of a burning building. I don't even know how to explain it. So I'm just going to share it and we'll go.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Schellenberger for Public. As a new wave of fire and high winds threatens Los Angeles, the media is reporting that California's elected leaders are not to blame, and that right-wing influencers and Donald Trump are spreading misinformation and politicizing a tragedy. Gender and racial quotas through DEI aren't to blame. And no, Mayor Bass didn't cut the fire department's budget. No, Gavin Newsom didn't cut CAL FIRE's wildfire prevention budget. And no, there wasn't any way to prevent those fires or the fire hydrant water from running out. Climate change made them inevitable due to whiplashing rain levels. Those are all lies. The fire department had made DEI such a priority that the city's deputy fire chief dismissed concerns that women would not be able to carry a man out of the fire by saying he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Strong enough to do this, or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
News.
Did you hear that?
Not expecting that.
Okay, so DEI is a woman who just said, if I got to carry a man out of a fire, he got himself in the wrong place.
Yeah. Well, if you're in California, what the fuck are you doing there? Get out.
So Man, what can we do with that? Should I play some more of this? Because I haven't even watched this yet. You want
It's
to
your boy,
you want to
Shelly.
keep going, and then just tell me to pause so you can make some comments. All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'll keep going then.
Did indeed reduce CAL FIRE's wild prevention budget by $150 million in 2020. If California had elected leaders.
Okay, I can speak to that. I think the total budget cut was $17.6 million per Crystal and Sagar on their show earlier today. After judging the numbers, they cut like X amount, but then they overspent and then they got it back somehow. But it still was a shortfall, just to be clear.
Who cared about the people
Wait,
and
hold
were
up.
competent, they could have.
Justin says he's in the wrong place. Is that victim blaming? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I just gotta say, I was not expecting that lady firefighter to be so butch. That was funny.
Well, yeah. Well, didn't you hear Sagar talking about the whole lesbian thing being like in chic? I'm like, I don't know if it's an in chic thing, but I would think that females who have some dude energy, I guess, would be dude like. Right? Like, I mean,
I guess.
I don't know.
It's not saying anyone in some group can't be more. Like, I was just looking at some tweet that was like, do you think that men on average are stronger than women? And then all the replies are just like going nuts. And it's like, you either don't know what on average means, or you're just completely denying reality. I mean, right. I'm sorry, men on average are stronger than women. Are there women stronger than me? Sure, probably.
100%. 100%. But
that's not what average means.
If I think something about grip strength, if you take the strongest woman's grip strength, it's not anywhere close to like the man's weakest grip strength, almost like the weakest man's grip strength. And that's one of these weird factor things, just because like that's where like men have these weird spots where they can just be really powerful or something. And once again, like we don't make babies, we don't give life. Hello, like women are more valuable to me, I'll say, but we kind of both have different roles, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. I'll hit some more and let me know when you want to chime in. All right, buddy?
Yeah.
Have prevented the catastrophic fires from destroying 14,000 homes and businesses and forcing nearly 200,000 people to evacuate. Climate change is not responsible for the disasters. There is no change in the rain pattern. Now, the details here matter. The offhand remark by the deputy fire chief is not proof that DEI contributed to the inadequate response. The disaster is decades in the making. LA's leaders have known that the city was unprepared for catastrophic wildfires since the Bel Air fire of 1961, which occurred when Karen Bass was a child and Gavin Newsom wasn't even alive. LA's fire budget had actually increased by about $50 million compared to the last budget, according to Politico Time and the LA Times. And Newsom increased the wildfire prevention budget after 2020 and increased land treated for wildfires by 90,000 acres. But all of those facts are either wrong, misleading, or both. The attitude towards vulnerable men expressed by the deputy fire chief is deeply alarming and anathema to firefighter ethics. That the disaster was decades in the making makes the inaction by California's political leaders even more inexcusable. The city council in November approved $53 million to raise salaries, but that funding was completely irrelevant to the millions that Bass cut, which her own fire chief said last month had severely limited the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires. And while funding for wildfire prevention did increase recently, it obviously wasn't.
All right. Go ahead, buddy.
So speaking of this, I mean, there's two things. The budget cuts, this is kind of the same argument that people made during COVID. It was like, oh, Trump cut the CDC or whoever's budget. They were supposed to react to freaking COVID, a freaking respiratory virus that you can't stop anyway. So, I mean, just to play a little devil's advocate here, could they really have prevented it? Was it the budget cuts that made this happen? Maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah. So if this is where I think if I've heard about where like the people get critical is the underbrush stuff that catches fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's the stuff that had been neglected and not really addressed, right? Kind of similar to Lahaina a little bit with the grass growing out of control or whatever. So if that budget could do labor to just clear the underbrush so that nothing could catch to the way that it could, I mean, it should certainly help mitigate those types of things. I mean, but 100-mile-an-hour winds, to your point, it's not going to stop. Like, it's not going to stop.
And if these were arson, which I'm pretty sure, like, it has to be, I think, just the way they're spread out, happening in different places.
Was it you that shared with me something about the roadways and railways along where the fires are? No. Okay, so there's some map that's out there. Once again, guys, it's X or Twitter or whatever it is. It's, it's a meme, but allegedly there's like a map that shows the roadways and railways where it looks like people like set it along the way, and we've had food sabotage in this country that people have no idea what's going on. And we've had so many different sabotage events that I think people just aren't aware of because they don't share it on the news.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I also am like, everyone becomes an expert about forest management when this kind of thing happens. Like, oh, it's just because they didn't clear out the forest. And it's like, okay, I mean, like, I can buy it, but do you know that for sure? Like, people just pretend they know all these things. Oh, it's because they don't clear out the forest. They just want to blame it on climate change.
Well, it's interesting, though, because Europe would have similar challenges, yet they don't have fires like that. So they do they try to compare and contrast like other parts around the world who would have similar challenges, and the results of, you know what I mean? Like those results are how they, when they compare them directly.
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, it makes sense. I can buy it, but also, do you really know? Because if this was just somebody pouring gas all over the place and lighting a fire, like, what can
it was
you do about
fireworks, allegedly. Right. It was fireworks that set off the Palisades original, and then it recaught or something. So to your point, dude, what was the one in Tucson? There was a gender reveal party.
Yeah.
It was a gender reveal party that set off 6,000 acres or something. And I'm like, well, was it a boy or a girl? Like, they didn't even tell me. I was pretty upset. They didn't even tell us what the gender was after they burned down
the orange. What does that mean?
All right, I'll continue.
It's a baby Trump.
And Newsom was caught overstating how much land was treated by 690%. In truth, the amount of irresponsibility and incompetence displayed by Newsom and Bass is so extreme that insiders are now coming forward and speaking out. The owner of the Los Angeles Times himself went on national television yesterday to call it crazy that we don't elect leaders with competence.
It's so crazy that we have leaders that are reactive rather than proactive. We don't elect people with great operational competence.
And LA Fire Chief Chris.
Oh yeah, I had to pause there for a second. Was that the LA Times that just says we don't hire competent people?
We don't hire based on competence? That would be ridiculous.
No, I mean, that's ridiculous. Merit, please. I've had enough. But like the LA Times to admit these competence. Yeah, and doesn't it kind of tell you a little bit about the wind shifting a little bit? Because we're looking at gosh darn, I just lost my train of thought. But we're just looking at these results, and you're like, what is wrong with you people? So anyway, we just jumped 51. We just jumped 10 people. That's awesome. Thank you. First of all, may I quick pause? Jason, we've got Jason down here. Everyone say hello to Jason. Jason's a smart guy. We're right there. That's me. I'm Mark over here. Michael Schellenberger's that way. He's that guy. He's the one talking. We're just having a little chit chat talking about the fires and what some of these things are. And to your point, it's like an equation. The forest management is like part of the whole thing, right? Then water, then pumps, then electricity. I mean, think about where California has failed on almost every step of the level. Like, they don't have the power to even run the pumps, right? Like, if you were to think about it, because they asked you to turn your air conditioner off to power your Tesla. It's like, what? I don't understand how we can live that kind of lifestyle, right? It's like California is what, the 5th largest country if it were a country on its own. It's sad what's happening. And I don't know if this all started it, but I like listening to Schellenberger, so I let him talk again because he was a nice guy and let me talk to him for 15 minutes.
And Crowley went on CNN, CBS, and Fox to denounce Bass.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service, and having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. We do not have enough firefighters. We need 62 more fire stations. These reports also show that we've had a 55% increase
62.
in overall call volume since 2010. And guess what? We're doing it with less firefighters.
As I reported yesterday, over half of all fires that the LA Fire Department puts out are started by the homeless, who may well...
Wait, what?
I had not heard that.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go a little bit further and then we'll talk? I had not heard that yet. That was like a bombshell.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Yeah, let me play just one more second of that. Let me go back just a second.
Volume since 2010. And guess what? We're doing it with less firefighters.
As I reported yesterday, over half of all fires that the LA Fire Department puts out are started by the homeless, who may well have started some of the fires ravaging LA. Gavin Newsom spent $24 billion of taxpayer money to increase homelessness by 40% since he took office.
That's a pretty amazing stat. How much money California has spent to combat homelessness, allegedly, and it's grown like crazy.
Yeah, that was a bombshell because I had not heard that. The homeless.
I didn't know about the fires at all. That's wild.
But that makes total sense. Like we have a pretty large homeless population here, and it's generally mental because something, right? Whether it's an Army veteran or somebody fallen into some hard times, there's generally some kind of mental instability that goes along with the homelessness. It's not always. There are some very, very bad case, and it's a large percentage too, right? I want to be sensitive to the issue, but those people are unhinged. I've seen them attack people. I've seen a guy push a guy in Vegas into the street, into like center, into the Las Vegas center strip. It's like crazy people just do crazy things. 50% of fires are caused by the homeless in California or in LA.
It's just amazing. Like trying to stay warm, or are they being little bastards and lighting fires for no reason?
That's what I would guess the latter. I mean, yeah, I'd guess the latter for sure, because they like to watch it burn. I mean, it's pretty. Flames are pretty. Yeah. But the other thing, to your point, $24 billion spent on it, and it's gone up 40% in volume, right? A population. So once again, what we have is the government is paying a problem to exacerbate it. They hire six-figure people. People making six figures, 100,000 to 250,000. What they had like 20 of them or something in that $100,000 to $250,000 range to solve homelessness. And if I'm making $250,000 to solve homelessness, I don't think I want to solve it because I like my $250,000 job.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I solve a problem when it would put me out of my job?
Plus, if you don't spend that money on the homeless, you can probably take some of it home yourself.
Ooh. Can we send some to Ukraine on top of it?
Definitely. Probably. Crazy. If you send it to Ukraine, it actually multiplies the money somehow.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So 24 billion, it just went up 40%. Anything else before I hit continue here?
No.
All right.
Karen Bass ran on the promise to force the homeless inside into shelters, but she hasn't done that. Every hour that passes, more information emerges of the corruption, incompetence, and failure. A major reservoir in Pacific Palisades, an epicenter of the fires, was out of commission for minor repairs when disaster struck. Had it been in operation, water pressure would have lasted longer during critical hours, and many homes likely would have been saved. Yesterday, a leaked Los Angeles government memo revealed that Bass had intended to cut an additional $49 million on top of the $17.5 million she already cut from the fire budget.
I was also directed to develop a plan as part of a budget reduction exercise, and that could equate to $48.8 million. And I rang the bell that these additional cuts could be very, very devastating for our ability to provide public safety. That would have resulted to 15 fire stations closing down and potentially the elimination of over 300 firefighters.
The date of the memo is January 6th, which is 4 days after the National Weather Service warned of danger, 2 days after Bass flew to Ghana on a vanity junket, and 1 day before the start of the Palisades fire. The LA Fire Department insiders say the head of the city's Department of Water and Power, who Bass had hired, knowingly left the fire hydrants remain broken for months and was the person responsible for draining the emptied reservoir. The response from the news media has been that critics of all this should just shut up. We're on fire, editorialized the LA Times. Maybe this is not the time for your political hot take. So why are the LA Times and others in the media defending Bass and Newsom?
All right.
In large measure because they officially endorsed them.
It's not the time to politicize. What do you think about that?
It is a joke, man. He's politicizing it being politicized.
Yeah.
And I did meet Michael. He is a lefty. He has a heart. He does have compassion. He's written amazing books. San Francisco, Apocalypse Never. He's taken deep dives, had real solutions. He actually ran for governor against Newsom last time. Mm-hmm. You know, I give the man credit. He's got a good idea on Sci-Tech or Sci-Cal-Tech or whatever it is. But the problem, or Cal-Psych or something, the problem is government, in our opinion, does not fix these things. The homelessness is an effect of the health of our country, in my opinion, just like the porn addiction is, and the lack of actual intimacy with people is a health problem. Like, that speaks to the lack of our nation's health. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think you're right. I think it's not his position saying it's not the time to politicize, right? He's saying the news, was it the LA Times saying, yeah, please, we're on fire. Leave us alone for a second. But those are the same people that'll be like, it's time to ban guns as soon as a shot goes off anywhere near a school.
Yep.
So it gets politicized. So sorry.
So,
and there are actual real evidence of mismanagement. Like he just talked about the fire hydrants, the reservoirs being emptied. Again, we'd have to verify this, but I've heard it from several sources. It sounds legit. So I tend to believe it. I tend to believe that California does not take care of their shit.
I just think it's like decades long of a slow mismanagement over time. And I think we've talked about, because I think Dave Smith's talked about the weaponizing empathy, and I call it compassion. Remember, we've had that conversation. And we all care, but that's the thing. They use that heart against you, and they get you to acquiesce, to comply. And your job is not to comply. Your job is to tell them to back off. That's what your job is. So, all right. Anything else before I continue, sir?
Let's read some of the comments. Zach says, government fixes homelessness by giving bums free gift cards to Nevada cat houses. That is interesting. I did not know that.
Thank you, Zach. That's an excellent point that you made. All right. We got this from Justin. You want to get this
out of it? They might not have a home, but they get a warm place to stay for the night.
They have a cat house, before they go back in the doghouse.
Yeah.
How about this one from Justin? They don't want to accept the elected officials chose to support have led to a level of culpability on their part. Let's argue once again, politicizing it, right? Both sides would do that, right? On both sides.
Sure. Yeah.
So everyone who gets caught in a scandal, like the levees in New Orleans that were underfunded when Katrina happened, was $18 million or something was not put into that part. That should have been some Army Corps of Engineer levee strengthening that never went there, right? And then they reelect a Democrat in a mayor. The guy who left the buses sitting there, they could have evacuated literally everyone instead of sitting and waiting for the world to change. Thanks, John Mayer. They could have literally gotten the hell out of there. It's odd because it is a weird mentality of, is the government our parent or our child? And when we've made it our parent, it's like, yeah, it tells us what to do and it just controls us on every way, I guess. But we don't even let our parents do that. So what are we letting this other entity of strangers do it for?
Yeah. Yeah, to Justin's comment, that's right. They don't want to accept that they're particularly fond of these elected officials. They don't want to accept that they're wrong because that means that they themselves are wrong. But we should not be trusting government to these important things, right? They have no incentive to try to help. Do I have to say it? This is my whole shtick, right? Government has no incentive to do good things, including fire department, including military, including all the things that you think government needs to do. They don't. And they're bad at it, and they have no incentive to be good at it.
And I remember that I think Franklin invented the voluntary fire department, which in Philadelphia, which was a genius move. Because literally it was the community keeping their houses from burning, I would guess at first, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you could imagine, like, well, if they're volunteers, they're not going to be that great at it. They're not going to be as well trained. They might not know what to do. They might mess something up worse. Possible, sure, but you care about your neighborhood more than anyone else. So
you absolutely care about your front yard more than anything else, right?
Yeah,
we talk about that all the time.
Right.
Awesome point, man. All right, I'll continue here.
More than that, they actively campaign for them. The hyperpartisan turn of California's media 2 decades ago predated the more recent hyperpartisan nature of the national media. That Democrats had a total supermajority control over the state for 20 years made California media super authoritarian. The LA Times in particular is now a radical left publication. It has for many years adamantly opposed hospitalizing homeless mentally ill people or requiring homeless addicts to go inside. In 2020 and again in 2021, the LA Times editorial board called for defunding the police and diverting the funding to social services. For the LA Times, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, who visited Cuba at least 8 times, expressing her admiration for its socialist dictatorship, they're not left-wing enough. For the media and California's politics.
Yeah, I have to pause there because, like, what's the point of that? That seemed like a petty politicization, didn't it?
Like, which point?
The Cuba thing, like the Cuba thing, and the admiration for Cuba and socialism. Like, it seemed a little weird. Like, it didn't seem as journalistic as he normally is.
Yeah. I thought it was fine.
Maybe. All right, I'll continue. All right. I know, I just thought it was weird the way he said it.
Politicians, the real problem is we the people. We complain too much. Our taxes aren't high enough. We're causing too much climate change. We get too much in the way of police and firefighters. And most of all, we spend too much time listening to right-wing influencers who only spread misinformation. We need to sit down and shut up. Like LA's radical left fire chief, they believe deep down that if the people of Los Angeles have to be rescued from fires, then that's just proof that they got themselves in the wrong place. Thanks for listening.
All right.
Ooh, I'm liking Zach's comments. Zach, why don't you just come in here, buddy? You still working?
Which one? Yeah, Zach, come on in, man. All right, that one. Let me do that one. Go ahead.
That's a good one.
Jason, you want to read them off?
The history of Cincinnati firefighters shows that before the centralized version, the volunteer brigades would get into little gang-style fights over territory. That's awesome. Why? Because they were trying to... Was there some money that came with it? Were people paying into these volunteer departments? Yep, he's still at work.
But he'll shout us out. That's pretty cool, though. And then Firehouse Museum. So interesting. So history of Cincinnati firefighters shows before centralized version, the volunteer brigades, it's like gangs in New York over like maybe charging for the fire or something, or getting
prestige. They just wanted the glory. That's what it was all about.
You know, there was a pride. I mean, pride is not always bad. You know what I mean? Like, hubris is bad, but pride is like uplifting. It's empowering. You know, it should give you that sense of like it's to be kept, to be clean, you know, to be wiped down and to be cleaned and to be kept pristine or whatever the way it was, right?
Hell yeah. Take pride in yourself, if nothing else.
Awesome. Well, man, we've been doing this for about 40 minutes. Anybody have any questions for anything? I was trying to, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions, Jason? Because I got a couple buddies on the Boomer Social Network, is what I like to call it.
Is that Facebook? Yeah.
Yes, it is, sir. Yeah, great guys. Like I got buddies that are actually really cool because like you get into it with guys on on anything on X and anywhere else, and you think that if you didn't know who they were, they're a total douchebag, and that's not always true, man. Sometimes we're good guys. So my friend Gotcha, and I'm looking for his thing, but my friend Gotcha did have some questions, but he started to actually listen to our podcast with the five of us. And he did chime in. So it was really cool that he had some questions. I'm trying to find it.
All right.
Actually, it was one with Jason Fry he was with. So let me get in here. All right.
Close enough.
I gotcha. Yeah. National separate. Okay. Taxes pay for the basics, road, security, etc. We got to start there. We always got to start there. Tell me about my roads. And I don't want to belittle it but it is a trope. Did a road exist prior to the government taking over the construction of roads, Jason, by any chance?
I am not aware of any roads existing before 1913, before the federal income tax existed. No.
Not a single one. Or a railway at all?
No, definitely not. So he's right.
Like Wawa West, Tombstone, nothing. All right. So can you elaborate a little bit? Because you're really good about explaining how what privatization would do to necessitate the things to make the things that we think government needs.
Yeah, I will try. I mean, if you look at who builds roads now, like who literally builds them, it's private construction companies. They're just paid with taxpayer money. So we can build roads physically. There's no problem there. The problems come in like when you have to decide who's going to decide where they go, and then who pays for it and all that. And when you're stealing people's money through taxation, that's really easy to get the money, right? So taxes, yes, taxes pay for roads, but they also pay for like a whole bunch of other shit that we didn't ask for, that we don't want, like sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. So
for sure,
the privatized roads would be super easy. There already are privatized roads. You can pay for it with tolls. You could pay for it. You can have businesses pay for it. You know, people complain about corporate America doesn't pay their fair share. They don't pay taxes, whatever, tax the rich. Okay, well, if they want people to come to their business, come to their office, they'll build the roads that people need to get there, right? So that's another option.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Remember, this is the point. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
No, I'm done.
So Justin, once again, these are really interesting questions, because the point is, if you have a business and your business is to get something to the consumer, and you have to find a way to get there, and if there's no way to do it, or there's no way existing, you're going to do it. You're going to find the way to do it, because necessity breeds invention. Necessity is the mother of invention. So roads were built between the major places first, because that's where the major revenue or the major generated wealth would come from. And then they expanded it, obviously. We know the interstates were a U.S. project. And yeah, that does seem like a fun thing. I've taken a lot of those roads. I've done 6 cross-country trips. But so Justin, great question. Obviously, dirt roads not handle today's traffic needs. Correct. But the current private companies could be contracted out by corporations to build these roads with the current technology.
Yeah. So back before income tax, there wasn't really cars. So, I mean, I don't remember what year Ford started cranking them out, but anyway, the roads
around that time, but it was definitely not. Yeah.
The roads that existed back then, of course, would not be up to today's standards, but we didn't also have the technology of the road building machinery that they have now. So it kind of all comes together. And it really doesn't change the economics of it. There will be roads where we need roads.
I think that would be the natural outcome. It would I'd hate to say like work itself out, but it kind of worked itself out, because the companies would have.
It has, and it did. And that's just like everything else. Government tries to take it over when it's already working, because they say, oh, well, this person's not being represented, so we got to help them. So they take it over, and then they fuck it up. That's pretty much how it goes.
Okay, so from another perspective, war accelerates a lot of technology. Think about cars, the acceleration of car technology through war, like airplanes through war. Like we would actually have a slower, steadier growth progression if we didn't have all the war to accelerate jumps. And I think we'd have a steadier, more stable, slow ember burn versus like sparks of huge fires, right? That jumps in innovation. And that might have make us all feel more conservative, like stable minded in a way, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So
Well, I don't
thoughts
know.
in my head,
I mean,
I think
I
we're
don't know the full history of all the technology developments that came out of war. Was there something? Is there like a
I would just
specific
say like
example?
bigger engines, faster engines, more power,
Mm.
more weight, more, but think about like the first Henry Ford car. I'm sure it
Yeah.
didn't need to be streamlined until they had to worry about streamlining it, but that was probably due through some need through war, right? Like they had to build a faster, car, between point A and point B, or like a Jeep, they had built something more tough.
Mm.
Just thoughts, because like I know radar technology, obviously missile technology, flight technology has increased rapidly through innovations through war.
Yeah,
Werner
yeah.
von
I'm
Braun.
sure that could be a stimulus for some development, like the nuclear bomb is a good example. We wouldn't have had that without war,
Right, and NASA.
but what do we
And
need it
like
for?
NASA too with Werner von Braun, right? So
Yeah.
all I'm saying is I think we would still get there. It would have just been slower. And I think when we don't rapidly grow, because I think we have to adjust to these technologies, right? Brett
Mhm.
Weinstein wrote that book with Heather, right? Heather Heining, his wife, about
Mhm.
the 21st century. Was it Neanderthals in the 21st century or something? So we still got that reptile brain and we're working on iPhones. And it's not jiving. You know what I mean? There's a dissonance there, right? And
I would
people
have to
finally
look
get back to
into it, but I might still argue that the war still retarded the development of technology because
I think
it's channeling resources to a destructive purpose. So I would
that's a good point.
have to look into the details, but I could probably see that argument being true also.
I'll steel man your argument by agreeing with you 100%. War is profitable but not prosperous. The
Yeah.
overall war did not elevate the wealth of nations by any means, but it created technological advancements that seem to us as materialistic consumers after, Bernays got to us, right? Through propaganda, through public relations after, because did you watch the Century of the South by any chance? I think I sent
No.
it to you. Okay. I asked you to take a look at that, but basically Edward Bernays is Carl Jung's nephew. And he started in the 20s with advertising. And he got women to smoke by calling them freedom torches. And all the women had to smoke freedom and he doubled the sales of cigarettes like that. Because he was a Jungian. He was Carl Jung's nephew and he knew exactly how the brain worked. He invented public relations, the term, propaganda, Banana Republic. He's the one who turned all those countries over. And what it was coming out of World War II, there was so much production we had made, right? But Americans were like, I'll fix it till I can't fix it anymore. That's what the old mindset was. Bernays literally shifted everyone to consume starting World War II because they had such an overproduction that they got you to want things instead of need them. So you wanted a car every 3 years. You didn't actually need it every 10, but you wanted it every 3, right? Because of the newest style or this or that. It's a real interesting, it's like a 4-hour doc. It's real worth it.
That is interesting. Yeah, because if you look at like original cars, they didn't have windshields. They didn't have like a differential for when you turn. So turns were just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, they were brakes and weird handles.
No seat belts, uncomfortable. So I think all those things, people are like, oh, I really like my car, except I don't like this part. And then the manufacturer does something about it, the next model. And then, keeps going and keeps going. So I think all that innovation would happen regardless.
Yeah. No, I do. And I just think like it would get there. It just wouldn't take those leaps. Like I was kind of saying is like, I just feel like it would be so much more stable. Like when you build a business, like a good example would be like a Boston Market. Remember they used to be everywhere? Well, they like outgrew their size too fast. They weren't able to get the logistics to all the stores that they had opened all at once. So they collapsed under their own weight almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
we got some more good questions.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Put one. Which one do you want to pull up?
Sorry, my camera is right in the way of it. What are your thoughts on the concept of property in a more natural extent? Like understanding that the land itself really can't be owned. That's a good question. I do struggle with this one. Like all the land that's public land right now, if we suddenly switch to anarchist society, why are you flipping me off?
Because not you, him.
No.
He's too smart of a question for us to answer.
This was supposed to be a bullshit Q&A, man. And here I am being autistic and really trying to answer it. He also said, how do we get past the Mo Rhodes argument to actually have an adult conversation about independent voluntary transaction with childish MMTers?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I think I've seen videos and I've shared videos with people about how roads actually, specifically roads. Another one is security, right? Everyone talks about the safety. Have the police helped you? Like what keeps you out of jail is good behavior. Isn't that what should get you out of jail? Like it shouldn't keep you out of jail. You know what I mean? Like that you have to behave the way they want per their little tight guidelines, right? And then they can make the guidelines a little fuzzier, right? Oh, we have, they violate a Fourth Amendment or something, or they go, oh, I smell something. We can do this now. Or we can, what's the one where they have cash on them and they can actually just illegal seizure forfeit cash, like right from your car if they pull you over? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah. I got lost a little bit. What was the question?
It's basically about police and security. So tell me about how police could be replaced by like a private security, and how privatization actually would be a benefit versus a hindrance.
I could do that, but I want to talk about MMT. Let's talk about MMT.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Well, so MMT, can you explain what MMT is, sir? Because I don't know anything.
MMT is modern monetary theory, and I am not an expert economist, but what I understand, it's the idea that you can just print money and it does not have a negative effect on the economy. It does not cause inflation. You can just print money and give it to people, and that stimulates economic growth. It does not cause negative effects. That's kind of the whole MMT philosophy baked down into a simple sentence.
No, I have I might not understand it well, because what I also incorporate is something about the reason they can print is because there's still limitless resources in the ground that we haven't collected yet. So we're just borrowing that ahead of time, and it's totally going to zero out at the end. Like that's kind of how I feel like they look at that.
They could.
Is that, I don't know if that's something, maybe somebody can jump on the chat.
I do know, you just remind me of another point though, that they use the balance sheets. So they say all government debt is a surplus in the private sector. So it all balances out. So that's kind of similar, right?
Yeah, very similar. Okay. Let's see. Anything else down here?
I totally dodged that police question. I did not want to talk about that right now.
Freud's nephew, not Jung. I'm sorry. Freud was Sigmund Freud. That's right. Apologies. What'd you say, Jason? You want to talk about which one?
No, I'm saying I totally dodged that question earlier.
Okay, well, let's go back to it, man.
No.
Is it about the private land, private owned? Because I can't handle that one, man.
Private security, that's another pretty simple one. It would function a lot like police departments. It would just be privately funded, and the people that want more security can pay for more security. The people that don't think they need it don't have to pay for it. Provide your own security, whatever. I mean, there's never going to be a perfect perfectly secure world. So you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to pay for it one way or another. It goes back to the taxation thing, though. You don't have all the other shit that comes with it. You don't have your money being shipped off to trans people in Ghana or whatever.
Or to have could give cocaine to hamsters and watch them fight. Boxing gloves on them.
Well, I would pay for that.
I love when Rand Paul the airing of grievances.
Yeah.
Rand Paul.
Rand the Festivus.
It's so beautiful, man. So let's okay. So what I love about the privatization too is when you privatize police, for example, they are directly beholden to the people that are hiring them. So if everyone say we talk Dunbar number, you talk Dunbar number with Jason Fry as I did. And it's funny, you and I like had so many similar crossover questions that came up naturally from what he was sharing. And it's weird because I think it was very natural, but it was kind of neat. But like the Dunbar number thing is, I think we can go from 1,500 maybe to 15 or 15 or 150 to maybe 1,500 or 15,000 with technology. I think but it is limited. It still is a limited number. Maybe if we get to 3,000, maybe that's 20 times Dunbar with technology, maybe, but it's really tough outside of that. But imagine all those people agree that they have this police force. That police force gets out of hand. One of those police gets out of hand. They don't get transferred to another department. They don't get protected by their people. They're out because they're held accountable directly by those people that hire them. How many problems do we have with police or issues, unfortunate that come up where they get protected by that blue line, right? And I know police officers. I respect them. I respect the law. I'm a tax-paying citizen who thinks taxation is theft, but I think it's still a better way to be accountable. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think you're right. I actually have to run in just a minute here, but
all right, cool.
Everybody keep asking questions.
Thank you, sir. Jason, thanks so much for jumping on, man. I was really afraid I was going to do this all by myself. We got up to 67. That's great. Thank you. I'm going to stick around for a little bit if anybody wants to ask some more questions, but Jason, thank you again for joining me, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. It was fun. See you.
All right. Well, maybe Zach can jump on after, so when he's done work. So where are we at here? Let me go through some questions. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We're just doing a quick little Q&A. We did have Provoked rescheduling. I think we're probably going to do it next Monday again. It'll be week 5. We get to start with Trump. I have got videos for you guys that I've been clipping all weekend. I cannot wait to share those. So if I may, I just want to say thank you everyone for joining. I have had the craziest 2 weeks that anyone could ever have. I have a full-time job, work like 7 to 4, Monday to Friday. But I have 12 podcasts in the next 14 days. That's like my grouping. I have 5 over the next 4 days. Today, tomorrow, 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday. So if I may, I'm just so grateful and thankful for everyone who's checked us out and hung out and watched us. Tomorrow, I don't want to count my chickens, but it's Per Byland. He's an Austrian economist and he is a genius. He's going to talk to us about stuff. I'm actually going to ask him about price gouging. It's something that I actually think I have a handle on why people swear that price gouging is a thing. And I think I can point to it. So hopefully we'll talk about that. Everything's going to be live streamed, by the way. So that's Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm going to have a gentleman named Andy Samochuk, and he is an immigration lawyer with Canada and the United States. And he's a senior advisor at the Center for Eastern European Democracy. Sounds like the National Endowment for Democracy. So if anyone knows what the National Endowment for Democracy is like, this guy is a gentleman. I did tell him that he should look at my podcast before he accept the conversation, but he did. So he said, let's do it. So I'm looking forward to having a very healthy conversation. I don't know how reserved I will be. I will try to restrain myself because the website for the CEED is unbelievable. Yeah, I'll share it when we do that. So that's Wednesday. Right after Wednesday, though, the same night. So that's it. Okay, so Tuesday is going to be, I believe. Let's see what the time is on that. Tuesday is going to be at. I apologize that I'm not prepared. That's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Arizona time. Then I've got a 6:30 on Wednesday and an 8:30 with Carrie Sloan of WeTheFemale.net. If you do not know what WeTheFemale.net is, I urge you to log on right now as I'm talking to you. It is the coolest thing. You want to talk empowerment? Carrie is awesome. I met her at Amfest this year, and she was kind enough to schedule a conversation. So I have that. Everything's going to be live streamed once again, and then Thursday is going to be Consciously Unmasked on Jason's channel. Drop the Mask. So full week, very excited. Let's get back to some questions. Thanks again, guys, for sticking around. I'm trying to catch up here. All right, I'm scrolling up. Cincinnati firefighters. I already did that. All right. Let's see. Anybody have any other questions, by the way? Because whoa. Zach is killing me, man. Zach, you got to get to work, buddy. Get back to work, sir. Stop messing around. All right. So, okay, MMT, modern monetary theory, right? Did you guys ever see the gentleman talk about MMT? Let me see if I can find that real quick. MMT explained by what was it? The head of the at Fed. He couldn't do it. Something like that. Let me see if I can find it. I probably can't do it in time. I need 15 producers. Who wants to work for free? Because I'm working for free. I'm not even working. This isn't work. This is fun. I'm having a great time. All right. So is MMT and Keynesian basically the same thing, Zach? Can you share that with me? Can you fact check me? Is that right? It's like I keep confusing on whether that's the correct thing. So wow. All right. Well, this is interesting. Justin, welcome, my friend. Okay. I have to find that video for us, but let me see. I apologize for the silence again, guys. I'm trying my best to I think this is it. There it is. Okay, Biden's economic advisor. Here it is. All right, I remember this one so well. Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome for the treat of a lifetime. You guys are going to love this. You're gonna love this. Okay, so Zach did confirm it's similar. Keynesian and MMT is similar, and I think Keynesian's the one I was probably describing a little bit more with the resources, but it is kind of like just print and all zero out at the end. All right, let me share my screen. You guys listen to this minute and 40 seconds, and your mind will go to mush.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do?
Is that what they do? The economic advisor to Biden.
They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to yeah, I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
I don't think there's anything confusing there. Everything there was confusing. That guy is Joe Biden's economic advisor, and he's trying to explain modern monetary theory. Okay. So I'm glad I found it. I do feel like Billy Madison, I got dumber. I hope my girlfriend does not see that downstairs because I'm going to pay for that. So I'm going to hide that again. But thank you to Justin. This is a great clip. So once again, modern monetary theory. Let's just print money. Once again, I believe we got some smart people in chat, so you guys can fact check me very quickly. My understanding is in 1990, this country was $1 trillion in debt. That is $1,000 billion, right? 1,000 billion. It is now 36,000 billion in debt. It went from 1 billion to 36 or 1 trillion to 36 trillion from 1990 through 2025. That is 35 years. This country has been around just about 250. For the first 215, 210, whatever, it only accrued $1 trillion. And that didn't even start till we know when. So it's crazy talk. So anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. But once again, Gotcha had a great question on the Facebook. He says, wait, elaborate. The dollar is 3% of the original value? Are you talking from years ago? My understanding is the dollar is approximately 3% of its original value. I'm going to try to share my screen very quickly here, but hopefully I can send it very quickly just to show you guys. Da-da-da. Visualizing the purchase power. Oh, how do you get rid of this guy? There we go. All right. There's the visualizing the purchase power of the dollar. And if you look at different markers along that, you'll find it very interesting, right? So when you're looking at it, at the top, you've got the Federal Reserve Act creates a central bank. That is north of $25. You could buy $1 could buy 30 Hershey's chocolate bars in 1913, right when the Fed was created by the creatures at Jekyll Island. So as you move down, a couple other markers happen, stock market crashes. You could buy 10 rolls of toilet paper for $1 in 1930. Then the dollar started gaining value again. And then look where it peaked. And it has not even recovered anywhere near this. But US President Roosevelt criminalizes the possession of gold. Right there. Boom. It's just a steady decline as it was look at this huge spike that it made, and then boom, they shut it down, and it's just been on a steady decline since. And we are now here where the US dollar is approximately 3% of its original value. And I will leave it at that. That is some crazy stuff. All right. So I apologize. I just had I think I had a mini stroke there for a second, but I'll be okay. So Yeah, I can't really explain it properly. I don't think there's anything confusing there. Yeah, but yeah, well, so so you do kind of, sort of things, and then things happen, and then yeah, but we do clearly print, and we do borrow. So I guess the question, we wouldn't have the question if it wasn't a question to be had. The circles. And then Kama's like tapping in. She's like, "I'll take this. I can do word salad better." Wow. There it is. Interesting. Well, I remember when, what was it? $1.20 was €1, wasn't it? $1.60? $1.60, right? North of $1.60, $1.80 even for a euro when it was before Greek and Ireland, like everybody defaulted basically, and Germany tried to hold them all up. So anyway, well, everyone, I just had that today. I didn't really plan on having too much stuff to talk about. Once again, Thursday's show with Jason, we're gonna cover Sam Harris and Bill Maher on their little, what did they do? That little club random thing. Sam Harris has lost his mind. Man, I remember when he talked very calmly and he said things, and the more calmly he said them, the more I could just believe him, because he said them in such a manner that just sounded like reasonable. Like when he says things should be just because they are. But then he got TDS, man. His fever has not broken. And then he got it into it with Elon, and just the clips alone are gonna be hilarious. We got that. We're not gonna do that too much, but we're really interested in breaking down, what clip are we gonna break down? Um, we're breaking down the Joe Rogan, Mark Zuckerberg conversation. So we're going to do a lot of that on Thursday. So please join us Thursday for that. That should be a lot of fun. Once again, tomorrow is going to be Perb Island, Austrian economics. I'm going to talk about price gouging because I think I know how we think it's price gouging. I just have a weird feeling, and I don't know. I hope I can explain it, because the point of explaining these concepts is, if we can't understand it, if we can't explain it simply, then we don't understand it ourselves. So I will either look like not a complete moron or a complete moron. So one more thing about that, the DEI fire stuff. Oh, oh, bro. Oh, man, don't do that. That's not cool, man. Not cool, Zach. I put it up there because I respect you, sir. I know you're just messing around. Excuse me. So, um, what do we have? Yeah. So Perb Island, we'll talk price gouging. We'll talk Austrian economics. We'll talk Center for Eastern European Democracy. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. Let me pull up this website because it is unbelievable. I shared it with some of my friends. Center European Democracy. It looks like it's a Canadian NGO of some sort, but it's pretty interesting. Where is it? Center European, Eastern European Democracy. That's what the problem is. All right. Pull that bad boy up. I'm going to share my screen again. And let's take a look at this. All right. Welcome to the Center for Eastern European Democracy, everybody. You guys are going to love this ride. So, if you guys have any questions for me to ask Andy on Wednesday, I'm very much looking forward to it. But this is a Center for Eastern European Democracy. Sounds a lot like the a National Endowment for Democracy, right? Sounds like the IRI, which McCain headed. Newland, I think, was the National Endowment for Democracy, right? Okay. Are you ready for the articles that are in this? Russia's rape culture. Ukraine will win. The world needs to win in Ukraine. Articles related to Ukraine and democracy. Ukraine and democracy. America's future Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine silent resume or resume. I don't even know. I'm assuming resume. Will cause America's Waterloo or recoup its global deterrence culpability or credibility. Or recoup its global deterrence capability or credibility. That's like really warmongery type stuff. But look at this one. Russia's rape culture. Man, this one's no. You know the one I really liked. One of the one I liked was I think it's Ukraine will win, or the world needs to win in Ukraine. Probably that's not the one. Yeah, it's Ukraine will win because we've been doing a 8-week book series on this. This is interesting that Ukraine is going to win this war, guys. Ukraine's going to win this war. Like right now, 2025, Ukraine's going to win this war. Anyone think Ukraine's going to win this war in 2025? Highly bloody, not likely, my friends. Not very likely. Yes, that is correct. Per will set me straight. Zach, you spoke to him too, right? He's like a genius, but you're a genius too, though. You like no money stuff. I feel like I'm going to be an idiot. I hope I'm not in over my skis because he's so brilliant and I love reading his stuff on X. So anyway, all right. Well, I don't really have anything else except for we were talking the beginning of this whole thing, DEI and what its effects may have had on the fire department. I urge everyone to look up Adam Carolla clips talking about it because I could do it, but it's a really long time. You know what? Since everybody's here, I might as well. But basically, Adam Carolla did actually try to become a firefighter at some point. And he had a very interesting story to tell about his experience with it because someone that he met there when he started. Here you go. Let's see. That's a whole hour there, but yeah. So basically, I'll play a little Tim Pool. What the heck? Pull this up for you guys, and then we'll get it going. All right. I think I can do this live. I hope Tim's not going to be mad at me. Tim doesn't know who I am, but I did give Serge a card. Serge.com. How you doing, Serge? Anyway, let me present this very quickly. Right. And go.
The wildfires rage on in California. Polymarket has a prediction. Will the fires be put out by tomorrow? 2%. Yeah, no. They're saying no. There's a lot of questions about why. Well, over at youtube.com/Timcast, we put up our 4 p.m. video, so check it out, breaking down how this is a failure of leadership. But diversity, equity, inclusion plays a big role. Well, my friends, you don't need to take it from me. I got the proof. We got a video depicting a fire department talking about how diversity will make us better at fighting fires. But we got this lead story. Adam Carolla says he was rejected from LA Fire Department because of his race. Duh. This is crazy to me because I've known about this my whole life. My dad was a firefighter for 20 some odd years. In Chicago, everybody knows this. If you're a white man and you apply to be a firefighter, get out. Not interested. Because they are racists and they are evil people. There's no real reason for doing these things. They're just racist, evil people. Sorry, that's simple. Now, they're going to try and claim, oh, it's about having a diverse group and different worldviews, but race doesn't determine this. Adam Carolla has this really epic takedown of Gavin Newsom, where Newsom says that Black and Latino people largely don't have access to bank accounts. And he goes, why is that? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, is it because of their genetics? And Newsom's like, no, of course not. And he's like, so it's only Black and Latino people. Why is this happening to them? And he's like, well, it happens to white people too. And Carolla goes, oh, so everybody has this problem. Do Asians have it? And he goes, yes. Why is that? He's like, I don't know. He's like, we put Asians in concentration camps. He goes, yes, maybe that's it. We didn't do that to Black and Latino people. Epic takedown of the psychotic racist ideology that makes no sense. But I got 2 videos for you. I have 3 videos for you. I want to show you what Adam Carolla had to say. But more importantly,
you guys want me to stop this
for
anytime,
you
I'll
this
happy to do
video
it. But
from Fire Rescue on YouTube, how DEI can create a stronger fire department. You ready for this one? Oh,
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, are more than just words. They represent a framework for creating fair and equitable environments in the fire service where everyone has a seat at the table. But what do these concepts truly mean, and how do they work together to build stronger fire departments? Diversity is the foundation. It's about recognizing and embracing the different backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences that make up a community. In the fire service, this means having a workforce that reflects the community it serves, bringing in different ideas, approaches, and solutions to solve complex problems.
Okay, I'll accept that. We want a wide range of views. What does that have to do with race? And why are they then showing a Black man? Because Black people's brains are working differently than white people's, so they have different ideas? That's racist, and I reject that outright.
All right, enough of that. We're good. I mean, unless you guys want me to continue, if somebody wants me to jump in the chat, I paused it so we can definitely continue, but I'll stop sharing for a second. But anybody have any points, anything they want to share about that? So basically what happened is Adam Carolla, and I don't want to butcher it too badly, but he applies to work for the Yeah. All right. I don't want to. I'll put it up, Zach. You win, my friend. I'm going to mute myself because I got to cough it out for a second. All right. I got a little tickle in the throat there. So Tim was cooler when all he did was bitch and moan in his van. I do think Tim crested, and I don't mean crested in just popularity. I think he shifted something a little bit, and his life style shifted, right? He's expecting. Congratulations. So with that change, I think he's securing his everything, and but it does change the message, right? A little bit. Excuse me, everybody. All right. Thank you so much. All right. To Justin's point, the guy in the video you were playing early said it perfectly. DEI can at times directly conflict with the idea of hiring for competency. Okay. So, Justin, not just because once again, ladies and gentlemen, I have the absolute honor and the privilege of working from home. When COVID hit, I work remotely. I refused to vaccinate. I said I will not come in if I had to vaccinate. I refused it. And my employer is amazing because my employer knows that I work as hard as I can for him. And all I care about are his interests when I'm on the clock. And I was able to demonstrate that from home. And he has been kind to let me continue working from home. With that, I listen to about 3 different things at one time. So I'll listen to like a podcast, an audiobook, and some other video or interview or something. And when something catches my ear, I'll pause the other 2 pieces and then play something. So I drown myself in information, not knowledge, because you have to still sift the stuff, right? So I still have to vet it, but I drown myself in information. So Justin, the guy in the video, his name is Sagar Enjeti. He's Indian American. He's American descent. I think he was born here, but he may have come here young, but I think he was born here. But he went to Texas A&M, and he is part of Crystal and Sagar. They're called Breaking Points. Now, Breaking Points is Sagar's a little more conservative. I would say you and he would actually have a lot of similar views there. And then the other part is Crystal Ball, which you saw. She's the one with Kyle Ball, or otherwise known as Kyle Kalinske, but it's Kyle Ball because we know who holds those testicles. And the bleach has just totally soaked his brain. He's got Trump derangement syndrome too. So anyway, so we got this, and those that they're fun to watch. I started watching them, but I've actually graduated from them, and I hate to say that, but it just I think it's still slightly manufactured, not as independent as Dave Smith is probably go-to for me. I I listen to Liberty Lockdown. I listen to Jimmy Dore, and I don't agree with state healthcare or any of the stuff that Jimmy wants to do, like all that the government stuff. But I love Jimmy. I actually saw him at Tempe Improv couple months ago, actually. So he and Stephanie were there. So it was really cool. But that said, like I listen to those people because I know they're honest from how they feel. And I don't know. I think Sagar lost me for a bit, but he's kind of regained it. He's really regained his footing with me a little bit. So I give him props for that. So anyway, Breaking Points. Yeah, so that's a good one. Let's see. I totally have nothing else to talk about, so I probably should just go, huh? Anyway. All right, let's see. Let's see if anybody's on here. All right. Oh, so let me answer a couple more questions from the Boomer Social Network because that's always a fun one. So let's see if there's any more questions in this little piece. All right. National separation. Gotcha small. So on was it over the weekend? Thursday? Tuesday, Thursday, Monday. Jason Fry did the honor of coming on my show. He's a knife maker. He was a Forge and Fire finalist. He got the slightest bend, but he got to keep his awesome creation, which he showed in the video. Anyway, he's got a book called National Divorce, and I think you can get it national-divorce.com, I think is correct. And basically, it's about Texas seceding. And Gotcha makes a great point. I don't see America letting go. They want to absorb Canada, Panama, and Greenland. I don't see them letting go of a state like, Texas. Also, I know the New Hampshire's interested. I know many states that would be interested. And I would love the idea of it. I think it is the most beautiful thing. And I think we can always slowly work towards that process. But I think the government's teeth and fangs need to be slightly removed for us to have a fighting chance at that happening, if that makes sense. So anyway, Zach, let's see, Zach. Oh, there he goes. Dave Smith. There you go, Justin. So, Justin, you've asked some amazing questions. I see a lot of myself in you, like just a few years shifted, right? I kind of mentioned that to you, but it's a complete, absolute compliment because I was probably even more conservative than you were in that way. And once Iraq happened, man, it just shattered me. It absolutely broke my heart. It it just fractured my soul. And since then I just it was I mean, I'm not Tucker Carlson by any means, but it was similar to his path where it was like once you found out that that was all fabricated BS, you just couldn't continue anymore. You couldn't continue lying to yourself. So anyway, so whenever you ask questions, Dave Smith is like one of the first go-to people. So Zach says Jimmy's pretty funny. Not gonna lie, politics are that 100%. But his one politics anti-war, right? Rage Against the War Machine. I will give him 100% props. And like Frederick Douglass said, I will always fight with someone to do good and fight with no one to do bad. I think something like that. Someone can fact check me that Frederick Douglass quote. Let's see. I didn't even read this. Let's see. What was the deal with the shoe and W? Does that have anything to do with Ukraine and Russia? I need hints. I haven't gotten that far yet. With the shoe. I don't know which one we're talking about. Let me see. There it is. Okay. They build an army, monetary monopoly assures secession never happened again, right? So we all have a friend, Justin. This is a guy you want to follow. Joel Ellenwood, Infinite Zeal, at Infinite Zeal on X. Props to Infinite Zeal. He's been on before and said hi. It'd be cool if he's on. But basically, he thinks that Abraham Lincoln is the worst president in the United States ever. And he can make a pretty compelling argument. And I can't say that I am where he is with it, but I definitely respect his mind and the way he thinks about that stuff. And the truth is, the country was only supposed to have supposed to have a standing navy to protect the trade fleets, I think, but it was not supposed to have a standing army. It was supposed to only when necessary build one, and then it was supposed to dissipate again, if my understanding is correct. It's a little rudimentary. I don't want to, minimalize it or reductionize it or whatever. All right. Good point. I think most of the ideas about secession ultimately are luxury people can have because they know the military might of America would still be there to protect them on the world stage. Well, first of all, they wouldn't need the might because we are a pretty natural boundary country. Obviously, we have our northern southern border. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is how many wars that weren't civil or revolutionary or early times, like how many recent wars have we fought on our shores? I don't think people are interested in the global empire the way we are interested in global empire. Just an opinion, because it is Monroe Doctrine for thee, not for me. Because if it was, they wouldn't be trying to talk about Greenland for national security. Meanwhile, they're stepping on the throat of Russia by trying to get Ukraine into NATO, for example. Anyway. So, but Justin, that's a good point. I went on a total tangent there, so I apologize. But Zach, my man coming in, he would be correct. Lincoln was a king and a tyrant. So he wasn't the worst president. He was the best king. Thanks, Zach. Constitutional conservative. I love it. All right, Justin, are you familiar with Randall? Is it Randall Carl? Carl Randall? He was the constitutional conservative running for president. I met him. He's a really interesting dude. He's actually a musician. He's a weirdo. He's probably the most engaging weirdo ever. I met him at Freedom Fest. It was so much fun. But I'll have to look him up. I think was it Randall something? Randall Terry. Randall Terry, I think, is who it is. Yeah, he's a constitutional conservative thing. So Justin says, as a constitutional conservative with a strong libertarian streak, I can see the point of Abraham Lincoln overstepping his constitutionally granted powers. Definitely. And I think that's the point that's made. The bigger point is basically to keep the country together, what he felt or what he did or what was done to do that was certain force and as non-aggression. And it doesn't defend the evils of slavery at all. However, there are more slaves now than there were then. And we created a slave market in Libya by eradicating Gaddafi. Well, the largest. I think you can even see him on. Is it on you? Can you watch him on YouTube live? I forget what you can watch him on X. It's live, like the live slave markets from Libya. Live from Libya, we've got slave markets. So, all right, Zach's back in. As a Spoonerian, the Constitution was a usurpation. Man, I always get usurped, not a usurpation. Man, that you like nouned it. You crazed me on that. A usurpation of the revolution of 76 and 87. So, yeah, good point. Excuse me, everybody. I'm just overcoming a little bit of a cold. It was crazy. Like I said, like we did our Five Guys Thursday, and I just like immediately fell ill as soon as we logged off, and then I got like big fever, so my throat's a little raw. Anyway, I do like the term constitutional conservative because what's interesting is like I, Zach might be able to help me out here just because he's typing, so he's definitely active. I'll try to work it out because I am very much still learning and I will always be learning. My ideas are not baked. They are going to somehow change over time because the information is going to change my understanding. I'm going to get more information, but the Constitution, just that it was written to prohibit already like infringed on rights in some way. I'm assuming. It's that's kind of the in a weird way, the libertarian thought. Now that said, I mean, it I'd argue it's one of the best attempts at defining butt out of our lives as much as possible, or at least addressing that government's gonna butt into our lives because kings kings will be made regardless, possibly. Or, they didn't want, the crony capitalism because we know where that's leading. Things like that. So anyway, uh, that's about all I got, boys and girls, unless you guys have anything else. Thank you again. Please check out our stuff. If you like the artwork, this is Stephen Holland. I did a podcast with him. He's a really amazing gentleman. I have 4 Stephen Holland paintings. And that one's got an interesting story behind it. But I guess they all do. But anyway, I've got Marlon Brando over here too, like right there, but you can't see him. And then that way I've got Billy Joel up there, and then I've got Muhammad Ali over there. But I'll be broadcasting from different areas. Next time, I'm hoping to have some people come in. If anybody lives in the Phoenix area and we can meet for coffee or something and you want to go on the podcast and talk stuff like this, I like face-to-face conversations. I suck at this. This is not my strength. So I like sitting there, getting to know someone. Let me get to know you. So if anybody's interested in doing that, let me know. I've told, hey Zach, can you do me a favor? Can you type hey Justin Holmes, you need to get a podcast and get started. We really want to hear what you have to say. I bet you'd say a lot of really awesome, cool things, and you'd crush it. Stop. And then send that so that I can put it up on the screen before I call it a night. Because I am encouraging Justin to get into podcasting. Because Justin, I think you have a great mind and thought, and I can get stumped at times. I won't admit it, but I can. I'm sure you know it, but I still won't admit it. But yeah, I ain't so smart sometimes. I don't talk so good. But Yeah. And there he goes. Zach, actually the same. So, but we encourage messages to be sent, and I think we certainly align more than we don't in a lot of core value things, or at least causality, or at least those types of things, right? Um, so we would we would love another voice added to this group of misfits. You can be added to the League of Ordinary Gentlemen, which still needs oh, that would be 6. We could do Friends, Friends. And then we could really like put our faces on each one of the Friends characters. Yeah, I wish I had skill. I have like 0 computer skill. And now I'm like just yelling at clouds. Ah, all right. Thank you, sir. I wish I could put both up at the same time. Zach is absolutely the man. All right. Let that sink in. That is being recorded live right now. And that is going up onto this message right here is going up. It's going to be on there for posterity forever. I'm even going to put it on Rumble right there. Justin Holmes, make a podcast, tell the world what you know. Boom. And then I complied, my liege. Thank you, Zach. You the man, my friend. You the man. So that is so perfect. Thanks, Zach. It means more coming from you than Mark. I think that's actually true. All right. So what's the story about Perb Island? Who actually knows? Who does he actually know? Somebody I also want to talk to. Oh man, who was it that he was good friends with? Gosh darn it. Oh well. Anyway. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We got to 73 people. That is amazing. I'm so grateful. It was a reschedule. Unfortunately, we were unable to make the Provoked show week 5, but I think we'll probably do it next Monday. I think so. I don't want to speak for us yet. Sean, Jacob, and I will get back together. Jacob, Sean, and I, and we'll figure it out, and we'll let you guys know. Friends, there it is. Well, no one told you life was not gonna be voluntary. All right. Oh my gosh. Before we call it a day, the happiest of birthdays, to Rep Thomas Massey. He is as best as you can get in the federal world. He is the North Star. He is the North Star. So, I'm going to put this up just because that makes me feel good. Thank you. You're very kind, and that I can't put it up too much longer. I'll just leave that up. But yes, happy birthday, Thomas Massey. I believe you're 54. So we're 4 years apart, 3.5, something like that. So very, very happy birthday. I hope it's great. I hope it's great. I bombed the X-verse, the Twitterverse with Wreck the Regime singing happy birthday and singing End the Fed. So I hope people who see that spread that. Wish Rep Massey a happy birthday on Facebook. Do it on Twitter or X. I'm sorry, I keep screwing that up or whatever. And once again, tomorrow, per Byland, Austrian economics, price gouging. Wednesday, we've got Andy Samarchuk. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Andy, because I want to be absolutely respectful to you. Of the Center for Eastern European Democracy, and Kerry Sloan of wethefemale.net. Check out that website. It's awesome. And then on Thursday, it's going to be Consciously Unmasked, episode 2 or 3. I forget which one we're on, but it's going to be over at Jason's virtual crib. So I'm going to jump over there, and we are going to have such a good time. We're going to talk Sam Harris and Bill Maher, and we are going to talk Mark Zuckerberg talking to Joe Rogan. So I will try to pull out some some impressions. Anybody want to hear any impressions before I go? I might be able to pull a couple of those out. Maybe look really silly before we go, because you know what? If you can be silly, you can. That's vulnerable. So I'd love to share my silly side. So if anybody wants to hear any impressions, I can do a few of them. I can do a little draw. Maybe if we talk about what if you clean your room, then maybe we could maybe go outside and have more conversations about how Israel are the chosen people. Well, that's my. I don't know. I don't know if I can give that one away, but thank you, Zach. Was it okay, man? I'm trying. It's actually my throat is killing me, man. I'm ready for this week, but I'm still recovering. So I hope it's okay. By the way, I just watched Jordan Peterson on Diary of a CEO, and there's so much brilliance there. And I had the honor of seeing him live on election day 2022, the red wave day. He actually wore the red blue suit, the half split suit in Phoenix at Federal Theater, whatever it was called then. I forget what it was. But he and Tammy, and it was great. It was a great experience. And then there's just some things. There's just some things that are just and the compliance with the shot is one. I do have a healthy, because he actually, I mean, he studies authoritarian culture his whole life. Like, that's one of his biggest uh fields of study is, Russian Nazi culture, like authoritarian cultures. He actually said, "Okay, I'll comply, and then you leave me alone." It's like, that's how every authoritarian thing starts, is with that first compliance, you know? All right. Well, by golly, I'll just call it a day. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I gotta go out. Oh wait, hold on. I've got oh God, yeah, that's what it is. God, I've got to go out, and then we got to talk about God someday. Yeah. So I'm losing it now because I'm really focused on it. The problem. Okay, Justin. All right, Zach, let's set them straight here. The problem is, if I came on your group shows, I would be in a unique and first time experience of being the guy that seemingly supports the idea of government. I'll be. We love governance. You want to. Yeah, but there's. Yeah, that'd be weird, huh? You'd be the first time, right? It's interesting though, man. I hate to spoil alert. The conservatives spend a lot of money on stuff too, and it's not really conservatives. You're conservative. You definitely core more aligned with Republicans, but Republicans aren't conservatives. Conservatives are they're a different breed. And I'd argue there's a lot of conservative libertarians as well that are just absolute fiscal, especially with the Austrian economics and the fiscal thoughts that they have. Their thoughts on Bitcoin and just alternative currencies, ending the Fed, things like that. So anyway, but we the thing is, you you got it. We want you to start your podcast, buddy. Okay, I'm putting it up there again. Let's see, where's it going? There you go. It's going back up. The floggings will continue until morale improves, my friend. All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. It's been such a great show. I've had such a great time. It's been a blast. I've had such a great time talking about all these different topics like DEI and how it's got to DIE and everything's got to go. It's got to go. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope someday I'll have the honor of having a conversation with the actual man himself. But until that time, I'll just fake it till I make it. Thanks, everybody. I'll leave it on that. Here you go, Zach, before we call it a night. That's fair. I think we can teach Justin that town liberation is the only way. Local matters or possibly just renouncing. I voted NOTA first time this year. So, and I voted Republican 92, 96, 2004, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Yes, Trump twice, but not Trump thrice. I guess I'm an enemy. So I wish that Jason was here. He could have closed it out with another Trump impression. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. You guys have been really kind. We almost made it 2 hours. I can't believe it. I'm going to go take a nap now and get recharged for Perb Island tomorrow. 2 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday. I am so excited. If anybody wants to talk on a podcast, reach out to me. Go on my website, knockedconscious.com. KNOCKEDCONSCIOUS.com. And then you just click on schedule, whatever, and I'm in there. Just talk to me. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Justin, Zach, we got a thing coming up soon. And then Justin, and thank you so much for your contributions. Everyone else who joined, thank you again. I hope you guys have a great evening. Hasta luego. Tschüss. Auf Wiedersehen. So I'll leave you guys. If you guys ever watched Inglourious Bastards, I'm going to leave it on this because I'm just weird. Inglourious Bastards, Michael Fassbender is in the bar and he can speak perfect German. And he's being interrogated by the Nazi soldier, the Nazi like lieutenant, like pretty smart guy, right? And he says, "Drei Gläser." And he goes like this. And the Nazi's like, "You just gave yourself away." Because this is how they do it in Germany. And it's awesome because my entire life is German because I am made in America with 100% German parts. My mom and my mom's family escaped from East Germany in 1953. My dad came over all by himself in 1959, at 19, I think. Joined the army, couldn't speak English. It was a Jewish person in the military who could translate the sergeant's orders into Yiddish, which is like a half German, and he kind of half understood. Very interesting story. It actually speaks about the coolness of humanity. But anyway, so there it is. So, everybody, when I ask people about the German, everybody go up to Germans and go, "Excuse me, show me 3," and they will do this, and they are German. I tested it. It's real. All my family back home puts up these guys. But I do this because I'm actually American. So I was not aware, but now it's almost like I have to do it this way to give props to my heritage. So, all right, everybody. Thank you again. We made it to 74. I'll take it. Everybody, you guys have been so kind just for sharing your time with me. I know that you could be doing many, many better things. So thank you again. Have a great night. I hope to see you tomorrow live. Let's do it. Take care, everybody.